Okay, day 114, the DynCorp harvest. In this series, we look at how the Defense Department creates disruption, then invades, and then brings in this company called DynCorp to take over training the police. But it's a very militaristic style of police, sort of Wall Street's police. They clear ways for what we call rat lines or pipelines. A lot of times, DynCorp will be brought in to guard fields that could grow poppies or cocaine, coca, and also guard these pipelines. Or rat lines that do sex trafficking, which could be women, girls, boys, drugs, arms, etc., and organ harvest. Today I wanted to talk a little bit more about what I call the DynCorp sheriff. This DynCorp sheriff is this new phenomenon that from these wars in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Kosovo, Iraq, Afghanistan, Haiti, there is these DynCorp sheriffs are being created from these mercenaries that were overseas training these police forces. And it's taking kind of a very militaristic turn. So at this point, I just want to gather information. Catherine Bolkovac was a police officer with DynCorp in Kosovo, and she made a lot of allegations about a lot of the older officers that were training the police force there were taking very young girlfriends, 13 years old, 14 years old. They were encouraged to sell them and get a new one, sell them, get a new one, to create almost a sex traffic. So there's been several books written about it. Everyone's probably heard of Flint Chambers when he was with DynCorp in Afghanistan with the lap dances. Hillary Clinton seemed to be very interested in that email. And the movie Whistleblower was made about it. Several articles have been written in different major magazines talking about this repeating pattern of DynCorp getting in trouble. I don't know if this is related or not, but here's a prisoner in Warren County, Ohio, saying that she went in, she turned herself in. I think she was on some kind of drug charge. She said she needed her epilepsy medication. For some reason, she was put naked on the floor, laying on a garbage bag, and she was raped by two deputies at the insistence of another third big deputy. So almost being forced into, these two deputies were almost forced into raping this girl. Again, I just see patterns and I just ask questions. Lots of people writing about it, lots of movies being made about it, so I just ask the questions. So I came across Bob Mosier, and for those folks who don't know, I don't know how to say this. It's almost like Fauquier County, like an entendre on another bad word in the English language. But here's his resume, and what's interesting about his resume, this is a rural county, just right outside of Washington, D.C., just to the west. As a matter of fact, a lot of the folks, like if this was Washington, D.C., this would be Fauquier County, not too far away. But a lot of folks take their kids from the Washington, D.C. area out to Fauquier County to go to the roller rink, or they go to the farm, day sort of thing. There's lots of weird messages as far as those social media, like lots of things to touch out here at, the Boy Scouts Day, But anyway, I won't go into that right now. But check out the roller rink that's closing. It's kind of interesting. Those attractions tend to close when these investigations start. But anyway, I noticed that on his resume, it looked like he still was working for the Department of Defense. It said to present here. This is the first page of his resume. The second page of his resume is he worked for the Department of State. Third page of resume, he's worked for the Department of Defense. This is the fourth page of the resume, and he worked for the International Justice Mission, where they saved children, which is all well and good. And then he was a law enforcement technical advisor we'll pick up the dates here, July 2001 to October 2007. Then there's an interesting insertion in this gap because he also was a station manager in Zvornik, Bosnia, from October 1996 to October 1997. So there's an interesting gap of October 1997 to July 2001, and I'm just wondering what he did in these 4 years. Well, it's an interesting thing. It says he was the Culpeper County Sheriff during that time, but he lists it from 1998 to 2015. So is he the Culpeper County Sheriff up until he ran for office for the? It looked like has been Culpeper County Sheriff since 1996 while he was overseas, which is interesting because Culpeper County is in Virginia. Now maybe it's a Lend-Lease program where they come and go. But here is Bosnia-Herzegovina right here. It's Serbia's right across the line, if you can see that. Croatia's right here. Slovenia, where Trump's wife is from, is right here. You can see this was all one thing, Yugoslavia, Montenegro here, and it was all broken up, Macedonia broken up, and so forth. So here's Bosnia, and here's Zvornik right here, and right across the river is Mila Zvornik, which is the Serbian town. And funny enough, that's where that gal on the Balkovic says a lot of this stuff happened. So I'm not saying, I'm just asking the question. I'm just asking the question today if Bob Mosier knows Catherine Balkovac. So that's my first question. Then the next thing I wanted to talk about was the Sheriff Lopi, remember. Now, in the news, the dam burst yesterday, so in the county just to the south of him. This is Siskiyou County, and I believe the Oroville Dam is down here somewhere. So I'm sure he's busy right now with his 240 officers helping out there, which I thank him very much for. But he also did this Weed Wars series. Weed Country was called, the Chronicles and so forth. And he was an ex-DynCorp employee, which is fine. That's great, you know. But he does have this habit of doing these very militaristic raids. And I just wondered if Sheriff Lopi here knows Bob Mosier. So that's my question for today. I'll research those more. But that's all I'm going to put out there for right now. I'm in discussions to follow up on another story. Glenn Beck went down to Haiti to learn about sex trafficking, and he went down with a company called, or a third-party NGO called Operation Railroad. Turns out it's a bunch of Navy SEALs. This guy he leads them, Tim Ballard here. And they had a bust where they busted these folks here at this Calico Beach Club. And so I've been in conversation with this guy right here, Vince Pate, and got some good information about that for my next show.